Assalamu alaikum. Okay, can we just, Buna, can you just for 1 second, please? Like, we're not gonna go all day without anybody commenting on your outfit. Okay? So,
should I model it?
I think you should, I don't think you should model it, I think you should burn it.
Oh, it's like that, okay.
But I was thinking to myself, I was like, I have this Viking vest, and I brought it with me. I'm like, Minnesota, the Vikings, and stuff like that. But then I left it in my suitcase. I was like, I'm not going to wear it. But then I saw Mr. Confident over here. He's got a bow tie, Jordans. I didn't know whether he was going to a wedding. He had no idea what IlmFest was. He's like, I'm going to be ready no matter what the function ends up being. Jazakallah khair.
Opening a Foot Locker.
Yeah, one brother he mentioned, he said he looks like he's wants to be the manager for a Foot Locker in Dubai. Okay, so, alhamdulillah, salatu salam ala rasulillah. What we'll be doing, inshallah, for a few minutes today is Quran in motion. And Quran in motion is basically poetic tafsir of the Quran. And so, before we begin, actually, you know what? I have to do this, I'm sorry. It's an oldie, but I wanted to just figure out, actually, if we could have the lights dimmed or those lights dimmed so I can see the crowd a little bit. Okay, thank you very much. So I know I've been to Minnesota a lot of different times, alhamdulillah, but it's IlmFest. And so I wanted to just figure out where everybody's from. So shout out where you're from, inshallah. Okay, how about let's do countries. So Oromia, who's Oromian here? Bra, okay, Buna. What else do we have? Somalia, who's Somalian here? Okay, very good. What else do we have? Norway, who's Norwegian here? Okay, thank you for coming. You guys here by accident? What else do we have? India, who's Indian here? All I see are black people raising their hands saying they're Indian. Okay, what else do we have? Palestine, who's Palestinian here? Okay, what else? What? Pakistan. Nobody, okay. What else? Mexico, who's from Mexican here? Okay, very good. What else we got? Egyptian, who's Egyptian here? Okay. Anybody else? Kenya, who's Kenyan here? You know, I met a brother earlier today whose name is Kenyan. Is he here? His name is Kenyan. I'm like, this guy's never going to forget where he's from. He left? Okay, what else do we have? Sudanese. Who's Sudanese here? Greatest country in the world. Ahlan wa sahlan. Anything else? Eritrea. Who's Eritrean here? And did you say Polish? Okay, who's Polish here? Nobody. Okay, thank you. Anything else? Uganda. Who's Ugandan here? Okay, we're pretty diverse, mashallah. So, Morocco. Who's Moroccan here? Wow. Morocco is just waiting patiently. So this goes, Sudan is my hometown, and Jerusalem is my heart. I flash a Polish smile. I've been Egyptian from the start. My kindness comes from Pakistan. My style, Yemenis. Oromo and Somalia join two continents at my knees. A Mauritanian mind, Libyan legs, and Indian disposition. Moroccan passion and Turkish fashion and Libyan precision. Wherever Allah is worshipped are my people. I conclude English esteem, French cuisine, American attitude. I have history in Spanish soils, Malian sand, a future shining from Khorasan. My present is where I stand, my eyes peer from Kashmir towards a Malaysian rising sun. My eyes peer from Kashmir towards a Malaysian rising sun. My body's indivisible. I'm an ummah of one. Okay, so really quickly, because we don't have much time, I gotta teach y'all how to applaud. Ready? So we have, you guys have been at a poetry event before, right? You don't clap like you just did. What do? You finger snap. Very good. So that's number one. Number two is, I like to call that American style. Then you have Muslim style, which is, we need a takbir uncle. Do we have a takbir uncle here? No, I need like a takbir uncle, like, yeah, you, okay. That's Ziad from Chicago, right? Okay, Ziad, we're gonna need you to be the takbir uncle. Like, this is like serious. Like, you're just gonna randomly just be like, takbir. You ever been to like those parades back in the day, protests? Okay. Number three, that's Muslim style. Number three is Egyptian style. We have Egyptians here, right? So Egyptian style is that when you hear something that you like, you say, MashaAllah. No, you say, Allah, Allah. Okay, so let's try that out one time. Allah, Allah. Then we have Pakistani style. We got Pakistanis here tonight, right? So Pakistanis, what do y'all do? It's all in the wrist. Vah, vah. Let's try this out. Vah, vah. It's all about the wrist, though. Okay, so let's do this tafsir of Surah Al-Fatiha. So I'm very happy that we have our wonderful reciter, local Sheikh Ahmed here. And Sheikh Ahmed, by the way, for those of you who don't know, he won the International Dubai Quran Recitation Competition. Can I get a takbir? Very, very proud to have him with us. He's local here from Minneapolis, and alhamdulillah, he's joining us tonight. So what we're going to do is we're going to recite Surah Al-Fatiha, and I'm going to need you to basically stop at every verse and start with the isti'adah. And this is bigger than the Dubai competition, so I'm going to need you to put some spice on it, and okay?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
In the name of Allah, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. Jesus in Mark said, this sign shall follow the believers, a sign that'll separate the truth from the deceivers. They'll cast out devils in the Lord's name. So in reciting God's words, that's what we proclaim every single time that we seek refuge in Him from Satan, the cursed and outcast. And so we begin.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
In the name of Allah, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. Allah pronounced A-double-L, exhale with love. Allah, the creator of the earth and the heavens, the one deserving of our love, obedience, and reverence. Who's Ar-Rahman? He's the one who in His mercy is extreme, and so His mercy extends to all places, things, and beings, like the most wicked individual you can imagine in the land, and He's still drowning in the mercy of Ar-Rahman. Ar-Rahim is the one whose mercy goes on and on and on and on and on and on.
الحمد لله رب العالمين.
Alhamd is beautiful praise, with all of its values and levels and all of its ways, not because of any favors bestowed or anything that's owed, but just because He is who He is. And so He is the one deserving of that praise. Rabb means master, sustainer, nourisher, creator, developer, maintainer. And Allah is as such for His divine construction. So praise is the most appropriate introduction to the conversation that will now take place between the master and his slave face to face.
الرحمن الرحيم.
Now those two names were already explained, right? So that should suffice, but I want you to pay attention that His two attributes of mercy are both mentioned twice. How the people think the Lord we worship is oppressive, restrictive, vindictive, I don't know. When every day He bestows on us grace and we don't deserve it though.
مالك يوم الدين.
The master of the day of judgment. And He's the master of the day of judgment in particular, because on that day, no challengers and no competitors. None shall speak, not even the whisper. The terrors of that day will be enough of an inhibitor, for that is the day where all kings fall silent and the powerful are humbled, and every violent tyrant will be exposed to be but a flesh and bones, and along with all pretenders be humbled to watch the throne.
إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين.
You alone do we worship, you alone we seek for aid. And worship is everything that Allah loves for His slaves. Not just the ritual like fasting and charity and prayer, but the habitual, your daily routine down to the very care that you show to your loved ones. Or perfecting your work at your job, if your heart is watching Him, can all be part of your worship of God. But the only one deserving of perfect adoration, love, fear, submission is Allah. And when no one is there, He'll be there for you. Call upon Him, He'll take care of you.
اهدنا الصراط المستقيم.
Guide us the straight path, meaning guide us to it, and guide us while we're on it, so we never lose it. The straight path is one, and crooked paths are many. Light is one, and darkness plenty.
صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
The path of those you've blessed from before, the prophets and the righteous and more, the truthful and those who bore witness to the truth by giving their lives in an instant. Not the path of those who earned your anger or those who went astray, earned your anger by knowing the truth and rejecting it, or going astray by never knowing it at all, never detecting it. What you've just heard recited are the most oft-repeated words in human history. There's no passage, there's no hymn, there's no prayer that's spoken more frequently on more lips, nor memorized in more hearts than this. 17 times a day, every time that we pray, this is what we say. This is what we say. Al-Fatiha. Allahu Akbar. Jazakallah khair, takbir, uncle. Thank you very much. So, Ahmed, if you could just share actually really quickly your own personal story, your local product here in Minnesota, right down the street. Maulana Abdul Nasir or Sheikh Abdul Nasir is your teacher. Alhamdulillah. So, what was your journey with the Quran? And more importantly, how can everybody have a relationship with the Quran? What was yours? At what point, if I could be even more specific, at what point did you realize this is something that you wanted to do?
Like after my first competition. After I competed in my first competition, I noticed like the Quran is my thing and I have to start working hard to reach the highest level I can reach.
What was that first competition on?
It was on the Quran. It was held in Connecticut. It was the year 2014.
MashaAllah. So by that time, had you already memorized the Quran, or what was the deal?
Like it was okay, but yeah, I memorized the Quran.
MashaAllah. So you basically just started off your journey having memorized the Quran already. Alhamdulillah. Wonderful. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept. And then, because I really like this point, because a lot of times people think that memorizing the Quran is the end of the journey. But in reality, you're saying that this was the beginning of your journey, right?
Yeah.
And I know that Sheikh Abdul Nasir was speaking earlier about seeking knowledge. It's just like a black belt in martial arts. When we look at, from the outside, we look at a person with a black belt in martial arts, we're like, that person is mastered, that guy's like an expert. But in reality, anybody who's practiced will tell you that a black belt just means that you've become an actual student, right? And so memorizing the Quran has never been the end game of a student of knowledge. It's always been actually the beginning of seeking. But that being said, everybody should have a relationship with the Quran, not just to the goal of memorizing. And I think that a lot of times people, they have an impediment or an obstacle in their mind because they think, oh, I'll never memorize the Quran, so they don't even memorize a new surah. No, even if a person's goal isn't to memorize the Quran, everybody should have a particular, in Arabic they call it a wird, which is a daily devotional. Everyone, every day should have some sort of reading that they do of the Quran. Whether it's a page, whether it's half a page, whether it's 2 pages. And everyone should have a goal to continue to grow in their relationship with the Quran. And if a person is given the tawfiq to become a complete memorizer of the Quran and to continue to study qira'at and what have you, then that is from the fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's wonderful. There's a verse that I want to end with, inshallah, not take too much time, but there's a very powerful verse in Surah Al-Hadid, which, for those of you who want to follow on the translation, it's the 57th chapter of the Quran, and we're going to do verses 16 and 17. And these verses are just unbelievably beautiful in their symbolism. And so, Sheikh, what I want you to do is I want you to just recite the verse and then just stop wherever you naturally want to stop, okay? So, yeah, recite the verse.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم يأن للذين آمنوا أن تخشع قلوبهم لذكر الله وما نزل من الحق ولا يكونوا كالذين أوتوا الكتاب من قبل فطال عليهم الأمد فقست قلوبهم وكثير منهم فاسقون.
Okay. Wintertime in Minnesota, right? It's cold, it's dreary. Do y'all love the cold? Do y'all enjoy winter here?
Nope.
Do you guys like, yes, I wish winter was all year? Anybody like that? So when I got a message from the hospitality team here, the wonderful volunteers, AlMaghrib, I got an email and it said, don't worry, the weather is beautiful in Minneapolis. It's 30 degrees and sunny. And I was like, Allahu Akbar. I'm bringing everything. Okay? So I want you to think about this concept of cold, winter, and all of that, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to draw that comparison. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَلَمْ يَأْنِ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Has not the time come for those who have believed that their hearts be softened to the remembrance of God? So the verse goes, a divine rebuke, cast in a shade of love. Hasn't the time come for those who have believed that their hearts be softened with the remembrance of the above? Hasn't the time come for them to stop the play? Haven't they had their fill of chasing dunya in every way? Haven't they seen that all the faces and places they confuse for oasis are mirages that fade, that none ever stay? Are they done seeking falsehood? Are they ready for the truth that will give them happiness in this life, in the next eternal youth? The seeker knows that in the remembrance of God is a lifeline to the heart, and a tongue moist with his devotion speaks light into the dark.
اعلموا ولا يكونوا كالذين أوتوا الكتاب من قبل فطال عليهم الأمد فقست قلوبهم.
And that they not be like those who were given the book from before, and a long term past. They started their worship with passion and devotion, but it all ran out of gas. And so many of them disbelieved, and many of them transgressed, and many of them turned away after what they had been blessed. So they altered their religion, changed the meaning of the text. They made lawful what was forbidden, and they said that they progressed. And so if you were to see what they'd become, you see sin and vice galore, wolves dressed in righteous garbs, hearts hardened and impure.
وكثير منهم فاسقون.
And many of them were disobedient transgressors.
اعلموا أن الله يحيي الأرض بعد موتها.
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the heart in this verse, right? Talks about how people's hearts have become hardened. They've been practicing for years, because many of us can empathize with this. If you look back at when you first started practicing and the religion first started clicking and all of the engines started running, then you enjoyed the salah, and there was nothing more beloved to you than going to the masjid, and there was nothing more beloved to you than learning, and there was nothing more beloved to you than talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then after a while it becomes that you might still be doing those same motions, but the presence of the heart, the spirituality, it's definitely not there. And you might just be doing it because this is who you've become. You're a religious person, so you go to conferences and you attend programs and you go to the masjid. But the presence isn't there, and so in a person's private life, they might actually become people who are distant from Allah. They are friends of Allah in public, and they are His enemies, or the friends of shaitan in private and his enemies in public. And so if you were to see what they'd become, you'd see sin and vice galore, wolves dressed in righteous garbs, heart-hardened and impure. What's the next verse? Allah compares it to that winter that we were talking about. when you are tired of winter and you just want it to go away and everything dies in winter. You know, I was in Houston this week and we were looking at the trees and they put the Christmas lights on the trees and all of that. But my family who's from New York, they said, it doesn't look right. Why doesn't it look right? They said, because there are all these leaves on the trees. Like if it's not winter time and everything isn't gone and the trees aren't bare, then it doesn't feel like it's actually winter. And so this notion of everything dying and then coming back to life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, اعلموا أن الله يحيي الأرض بعد موتها. Know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives life to the dead. When winter extends for too long, the heart calls out to spring. Tired of the cold and the snow and the ice and everything. But there are hearts that are like winter, and they've been winter for so long. Hearts barren and cold, waiting for spring to come along, and Allah can bring life to the earth after its demise. And so we can see life return back in front of our very eyes, and the flowers bloom again, and the birds return to sing, and Allah can bring life to any heart, turn its winter into spring.
قد بينا لكم الآيات لعلكم تعقلون.
We have made clear for you the signs. Perhaps you'll understand. That's it. جزاكم الله خير. صلى الله عليه وسلم محمد. Okay. Sheikh Ahmed, jazakallah khair very much. Thank you very much. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you and bless your family and bless your teachers. And Buna, assalamu alaikum. Huh? No, it's okay. I do want to shout out this book, inshallah. This is my own collection of poetry, which is called What the Pen Wrote. And this book is, you can access it at the AlMaghrib booth. And it's basically 3 parts. The first part is like Islamic reflections, like thoughts. And then the second part is knowledge that's condensed into poetry, like the 40 hadith of Imam al-Nawawi and the Fatiha that I just shared and others. And then the third, which I very much am happy about, is the translation of the poems of Imam al-Shafi'i, one of the greatest Imams in Islam. And he was a wonderful poet as well. And what I did was I translated his poetry from Arabic into English, but I translated it into poetry. And so if you're interested, inshallah, you can find that at the AlMaghrib booth. Other than that, jazakumullah khair, salatu wassalam ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum.